This is iFIBER 1 News. Here are today's top stories.
The Chelan County Sheriff's deputy, who won a $500,000 lawsuit against her boss, has filed a new legal claim.
A man who assaulted two Moses Lake police officers after walking into traffic was sentenced to 180 days in jail after pleading guilty to lesser charges.
Regional law enforcement and transportation officials are preparing for a very active stretch on the roadways of north central Washington and the Columbia Basin between Friday and Monday during this year's Memorial Day holiday weekend.
Moses Lake Police will look to retain their crown over the Grant County Sheriff's Office as the annual Battle of the Badge softball game returns June 4th.
From the iFIBER 1 newsroom, this is iFIBER 1 News. And it starts now.
The Chelan County Sheriff's deputy, who won a $500,000 lawsuit against her boss, has filed a new legal claim 6 months after she was placed under investigation and put on leave from the force. Jennifer Tyler has been on paid administrative leave since December, when Sheriff Brian Burnett announced she was the subject of a new internal investigation. Tyler's lawsuit says that investigation is part of a pattern of professional retaliation that began long before her winning lawsuit last year and has continued ever since. Tyler, a deputy since 2006, said she was ostracized and wrongly disciplined after giving testimony in a rape trial against a sheriff who employed her years ago in Oklahoma. A Douglas County jury agreed to the tune of $500,000. She then ran against Burnett as a write-in candidate and says the sheriff's subsequent disciplinary action stems in part from her political activity. Tyler's previous lawsuit was in state court. This one was filed in U.S. District Court in Spokane. Jefferson Robbins, iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Change doesn't have to be complicated. With a low-profile microwave hood combination that's ready to install right out of the box. It fits in the same space as your under-cabinet hood, so you can get your microwave off the countertop and make space for the routines worth keeping. The low-profile microwave hood combination, from the #1 selling appliance brand in the USA.
Whirlpool Appliances, now available at more furniture in Ephrata.
A man who assaulted two Moses Lake police officers after walking into traffic was sentenced to 180 days in jail after pleading guilty to lesser charges. Cipriano Valdez pleaded guilty to 2 counts of fourth-degree assault and 1 count of disorderly conduct as part of a plea agreement in connection to his January 2018 arrest. Moses Lake police were called early in the morning on January 18, 2018 to reports of a man screaming and walking in traffic on North Stratford Road. Officers approached the man, identified as Valdez, in a parking lot, and Valdez began walking on the sidewalk, yelling gibberish, and was showing signs of meth intoxication. Officers followed Valdez, who continued to walk into traffic before crossing Kinder Road, where officers tried to take him into custody. Police say Valdez immediately took a fighting posture, spun around, and was tackled by the officers to the ground, where he kicked both officers several times before a taser was used and he was handcuffed. Valdez was taken to the hospital for minor injuries before being booked into jail. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Your taste buds bored? Well, then bring them to Jay's Teriyaki. Not only does Jay's have a variety of teriyaki dishes, they also offer mouth-watering salads and sides. Call Jay's 509-764-5155. Jay's Teriyaki, located at 123 East Broadway in Moses Lake, because it's all in the sauce.
Regional law enforcement and transportation officials are preparing for a very active stretch on the roadways of north central Washington and the Columbia Basin between Friday and Monday during this year's Memorial Day holiday weekend. Troopers with the Washington State Patrol, along with other law enforcement agencies, will be out in force over the 4-day period, closely monitoring for any violations which might endanger other motorists, and are strongly encouraging that drivers police themselves to avoid any potential issues.
Folks got to watch their speed and be careful, especially when you're passing. You got to have the vehicle to pass, and you got to have the confidence to make that pass and make it pass safely. As soon as you've made that pass, please reduce your speed. There's going to be a lot of traffic, and you got to be watching out for each other.
During times like Memorial Day weekend, increased traffic volumes on the state's roadways heighten the frequency of certain behaviors behind the wheel, which can create hazardous conditions for a greater number of motorists.
Following too close is another problem. That's a $136 fine. If you're involved in a collision following too close, the fine goes up to over $180. If you do get in a collision, we hope it doesn't happen, but unfortunately it probably will, stay at the scene. That's the most important. To leave a scene is illegal.
State Patrol officials say collisions and disabled vehicles are the number one contributor to slowed and snarled traffic, so driving safely and making certain your car has been properly serviced before heading out on the road are both critical to keeping your own wheels moving. The Washington State Department of Transportation is also bracing for one of its busiest intervals of the year and will be working overtime throughout Memorial Day weekend to assist drivers in plotting their routes and travel times, as well as keeping them informed about any potential slowdowns or other situations which might impact these plans.
We will be seeing heavier traffic flows, particularly eastbound routes on I-90 and on US 2, and that will happen on Friday evening, and then on Monday morning we will see the westbound traffic peak. And we want people to program in those a little bit of extra time in their travels so that they don't have to feel rushed or pressed by that traffic and make desperate or angry or frustrated decisions then.
The DOT is once again providing motorists with detailed graphs outlining expected traffic volumes on the region's major roadways for each day of the extended weekend, which are available at their website. The department is also encouraging drivers to follow and subscribe to its updates on a litany of social media platforms and download their cell phone app to receive up-to-date travel information. Both the DOT and State Patrol are also reminding motorists to plan ahead and slow down for any construction zones which might be on their route, and keep a sharp eye out for any wildlife crossing the roadway on their travels. In addition, each agency is also urging the driving public to call 911 in the event they encounter or suspect any potential hazardous situation on the road throughout the holiday weekend. Reporting for iFIBER 1 News, I'm Chris Hansen.
Moses Lake Police will look to retain their crown over the Grant County Sheriff's Office as the annual Battle of the Badge softball game returns June 4th. The annual event, hosted by the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Columbia Basin, will once again be held at the Larson Baseball Field at 2501 West Broadway Avenue. First pitch is scheduled for 6 p.m. and admission is free. Along with the always entertaining softball game, the event features in-between inning entertainment, family activities, face painting, and concessions will be open. Proceeds from the event benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Columbia Basin. Moses Lake Police held on to defeat the Sheriff's Office in last year's friendly rivalry game. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This is iFIBER 1 News. For more information on these stories and other news, visit us online at ifiber1.com or check us out on Facebook.